Hey everybody, what's happening? Owen Video here, live broadcasting, live streaming, living, doing live video in my room with Derral Eves. And I'm really excited to be with you today on YouTube Live. Number one, because YouTube is my first love. Live video in my room with...
Yeah, and you got some good playback going on right there.
Yeah, you guys hear the echo? You love the echo. Video expert Owen Hemsath gets echo every time. You know, something like that. I'm here today with Derral Eves, and we're going to be talking about video ads and how to create video ads that convert. But before I bring it over to Derral, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a broader sense of who Derral is and what he's bringing to the table here. Because when I started with video marketing, I started as an organic guy. And my whole thing was, I'm going to build this channel organically so I don't have to spend any money. And of course, that's kind of like the lie we tell ourselves, right? Because you are spending money. You're spending money on a camera. You're spending money on this. You're spending money on that. And you're using amounts of time that equate to certain dollar amounts during the day. So I went to Vid Summit where I first met Derral, and I saw the power behind video ads and how by tweaking my investment, by changing my investment from time or money here to time or money in ads, I was actually able to get, in some cases, better results, in some cases, hugely different results. But I will say this, video ads have worked for me every time I've tried them. And it's not been about if they worked, it's been about how well they worked, what worked better than the others. And I can attribute video ads to the success of my most recent videos, which hit 20,000 views in their first 30 days because of an ad strategy that we use. So I learned that from Derral. He's going to show you the inside scoop today. And so we're excited to have you here. Say hi in the comment section. I want to know who you are. And I want to know what you do so that as we're doing our presentation today, we can use your industry as examples and maybe help get a better sense of what's going on here today. So Derral, after my monologue, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out here today.
I'm doing great, and I'm happy to be here. It's always good to talk about videos and, you know, ads. I just love it. I just love it. I'm consumed by it. Is that awkward silence right there?
I'm consumed by you. I'm used to the HOA going back and forth, and I want to let you sit in that silence.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you here. You know, you recently are coming off of a pretty successful video ad campaign.
Yeah, no, I mean, we launched Squatty Potty. That's that pooping unicorn ad a year ago in October. So in October coming up, it's been a year, believe it or not. And it's been a great project. I was asked to work with the Harmon brothers as the executive producer, one of the executive producers on that amazing ad, and worked with some amazing people. And we put out an interesting video that is converting quite well, which is great. And they're super happy about it. Got a lot of press, won some Webbies. You know, it was great.
I think I loved it deep down from the bottom of my bowels.
Your innards. Yeah, it was interesting. It was like Jeffrey Harmon, who's one of the principals at Harmon Brothers. We were talking. He says, "Man, I have a concept, you know, for a video with a unicorn," and he poops. I'm like, I'm all in, dude. I don't know what you're gonna talk about, but let's go for it. I gotta be a part of this. And it worked out great. You know, we worked on several projects together, and you know, we've teamed up, you know, across the board. But this was a fun one. It was very intense. You know, we had to pull off things that hadn't necessarily been done on camera before, like a pooping unicorn. A little bit more difficult than what you would imagine. And, you know, we had animatronics and had to get, you know, a custom unicorn. We actually did 2/3 of a unicorn. So it was quite interesting.
Can I get a unicorn that defecates? I know it's going to sound weird.
I'll tell you.
Check.
I would assume that Squatty Potty is going to extend out, because there's a lot of recommendation for plush toys and other things. So, but they did have a unicorn that pooped like Skittles. So,
well, there you go. I mean, it's about time, right? Finally.
So no, it was a fun project, and what's great is they actually had the budget to really do some amazing things. They put a lot of ad spend behind it, as you're well aware, and you guys can read online all about Squatty Potty. But they were on Shark Tank, and their company skyrocketed, and with this ad, you know, it went through the stratosphere.
Yeah, and I would think that, you know, with all the views that it did get, and with everything, with as far as you guys have gone with it, you've been able to really see some metrics, right? Some numbers, some strategies, some things where we can say this worked and that didn't work, you know. And now we, as smaller business owners, right? We don't have the ad spend that this huge company had. How we can turn that into success for us, for ourselves.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is there's a lot of assumptions about video marketing that people just think. The first one was when we were actually showing the ad. These are video marketing experts. These are people that we trust in the community, and they're saying the ad's too long. You know, you need to cut it down. And Jeffrey and I talked about this quite a bit and in length, and we just disagreed with everybody. We disagreed with what they were saying because we were able to see under the hood in the analytics,
right,
and really see that people were watching the whole thing. Yeah, they probably thought it was too long, but they watched the whole thing.
Right.
And, you know, when we introduced the ad, it was like 92% retention. They started the ad, 92% of them went all the way to the end, which is huge. I don't know anyone that, you know, can really tout that. But,
and that is only possible in online video, right?
Yeah, I mean, tracking metrics, there's probably other things that, you know, videos that have been watched, but yeah, tracking, absolutely. I mean, this, you know, really understanding the dynamics of people's viewing behavior, and the psychology that goes behind it will literally help you get people to retain. I mean, I have channels, excuse me. Man, I'm catching some virus here. You know, what'd you do to me here? Yeah.
Excuse me, guys.
But it's the same concept with any online video. It really is. It doesn't matter if you're creating content for a channel, if you're creating content for an ad. The process is the same, and the viewer bounce rate is huge. It can be huge, and so understanding the psychology of a viewer helps you know how to formulate content or formulate ads to appeal so they do what they're intended to do.
Right. Well, it's exciting. I'm excited to see what it is that you're going to share with us today, because I know for me, running video ads is a part of what we do. We prioritize our ads. We're putting our audiences in remarketing lists, and you know, it really comes down to that big question, right? And this is the question business owners are asking is, how do I get my ad to convert? What do I say? What do I got to do? Who do I put it in front of? So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, and I think the biggest thing that you need to realize before you do any ads, you should literally evaluate a couple things. And I've been a big proponent of this, and I really do believe is, you know, you got to prepare a lot more before you actually produce. And if you don't prepare right, your production, doesn't matter how amazing your production is going to be, it's never going to live up to the full potential that it could be.
Right.
And a lot of people, they do run and gun, and they don't put thought and who's actually watching it and who's the audience, and really developing that. One of the things with Squatty Potty, and you got to realize that, I mean, picture the pitch to the client. Hey, we want to make a video about a pooping unicorn. I mean, what brand in their right mind would want to have a pooping unicorn for their brand? I mean, that was a concept that they had to overcome. Lori from Shark Tank said, absolutely not. This is brand suicide. And
was that after she did her video?
Oh, this is the big thing is, she wasn't on board. And to Bobby's credit, the CEO, he just went with his gut. He goes, you know what? If we want to be where we need to be, we need to resonate with the audience, because their audience before, the people actually consuming their product, was 55 plus.
Oh, wow.
And the audience that was brought on because of the ad, was more millennials and late Gen X's. And
Yeah.
so it did a complete transition, and they actually purchased more. And this little backstory, but a couple of weeks before launch, I was talking to Bobby. I'm like, well, have you brought it up with Lori yet? He's like, no, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm like, dude, you gotta tell her that you've done this. I mean, you spent a lot of money. And so anyway, he sent an email, and she goes, oh, and she watched the video, and her response was brilliant. It was brilliant. And she actually did an email apology to Jeffrey and a few others.
Wow, that's cool. She
goes, we will use you on different projects. I mean, this was just outright brilliant. And the whole concept behind this, it doesn't matter. You got to understand proper preparation. And when the first concept was for this ad, it was a full-grown unicorn, and it evolved through preparation. And we've tried to figure out the best way that it would resonate, and the groups that it would resonate with, and so on and so forth. And so before you start anything, you literally need to ask, why are you making this piece of content? What's the purpose behind it? And once you start to realize what that is, okay, so this is going to be an ad that's targeted to a specific millennial, then you need to bring value, because ultimately people are not going to sit down and take time out of their day unless you have a value proposition in that video. And that's what most creators just lose. And so, they say, okay, the value I'm going to bring is the video itself. Well, no, like what in the video is going to actually bring value. And so there's literally only 3 ways to bring value in video. You can educate, you can entertain, and what's the third one you think?
Educate, entertain, and
inspire.
Inspire. Good.
Yeah. So those are the ways that you can bring value. And when someone watches a video and they're inspired, they're more apt to watch the rest of it and to take action at the very end, whether it's posting something on their Facebook, wall or whatever. They're going to take some action because they received value. It's like I watched a video about this rugby player that walked on to Ohio State and then went into the NFL because he made up his mind, and now he's on the U.S. Rugby team that lost. But the whole thing is that inspired me enough that says, look, you know what? When people put their mind to it, it's amazing what to do. And so I shared it with my friends, and we talked about it. It was something that we brought up conversations with, and people were engaging with it. And so that's the type of value you need to bring. And you might say, well, how can you bring value in ads? That's where it can be a little tricky. And if you can kind of get both components to it, if you can inspire them and educate them in the same time, that makes it kind of a power play going on with your video. Or if you can entertain them and educate them at the same time, that's great. And there's only a couple videos I've ever seen in my whole life that were able to inspire, educate, and entertain all at once. And those are the ones that just catapulted, just took off.
Right.
Completely.
But you're saying you got to get at least one of those things in to
Absolutely.
have an effective. So content first, like regardless of what you're doing, this has got to be a conversation piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's ways of why you're creating it, for offline sales or for branding or whatever it may be. There's multiple different things from there, but you need to realize who in the audience are you trying to reach, and what value can you actually bring to them if all they did was watched that video. So, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. A lot of people don't actually spend that much time.
Yeah.
I'm baffled. I'm baffled that they don't spend the time that's necessary, because if their end goal was to increase sales, why wouldn't you take a little bit more time and really figure out and think about, the things that you need to do to enhance the video so that you can actually do what you're actually looking to do, which is get the conversions, right?
Right.
But people just kind of run and gun and go for it, and they get what they get because they don't put the proper plan. It's like we're just getting ready in pre-production for an ad that we're actually going to be releasing. Our launch will be at the Vid Summit.
Cool.
And we've put hours and hours in the creative concept. We put it into the writing, making sure that it's just right. I mean, we've flown halfway around the world to meet with the client and
Oh yeah, I saw some of those on Facebook.
Yeah. So I mean, we have some amazing things, but the whole thing is we haven't even started production yet. This is all pre-production, and we don't start producing this for almost a month. And the whole thing about it is there's so much preparation that can go involved, and the more complex that it is, or if there's more of an opportunity, you should spend a little bit more time. Now, don't get intimidated if you just have a small ad and you're just looking to spend a few $1,000s. Don't say, okay, I'm going to spend 2 years trying to come up with the concept. No, I mean, this can be done fairly quickly by following a couple key steps and really thinking about who your audience is, what value you can actually bring to them, and how to retain them through the video. And that's kind of where the formula actually comes in, and we can kind of discuss in depth the formula, because everyone that watches video has a tolerance for video. And how many videos have you clicked off on, Owen, and went somewhere else because in that first 5-7 seconds you were bored?
Yeah.
Or it was misleading. The title and the thumbnail was misleading, and so you're like, okay, this is not what I was looking for.
Right.
And they pulled off. And so,
or it's not what I thought it was. Like, I thought it was going to be this, and it's not the fault of the producer. It might've been a great video for something related, but it wasn't what I was looking for.
Yeah. But in the same sense is those videos that could capture your attention in the first 5 to 7 seconds. What happens then? I mean, that right there, what's your tolerance for watching that video?
That's interesting.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I see where you're going.
That is a question for you. What's your tolerance? If somebody grabs your attention, you're like, man, that was interesting, or you laugh, or you're fully engaged, how long is your tolerance if the rest of the video content's crap?
I'm like at about a minute. I'm about a minute, and I just did this the other day where I tapped the screen, and I tapped the screen. It's about at 1:15, and I was like, they pulled me in, but I don't have any idea what the heck they're talking about now.
Exactly. And so there's a formula for this. And so generally what you have, and your tolerance level, just because you love video, is a little bit longer than most.
I think so, yeah.
But you generally have 25 seconds, additional 25 seconds. So
okay.
You're total of about 35 seconds into the ad. If you don't grab their attention or give them value in that time, they are gone. They are so off that video. And you'll have some that will stick on just because they'll see what's coming next. Yeah. But they literally won't last.
Disengage. So that's 25 seconds off of the first 5 or 10 second headline.
Yeah, so you have the 5 to 7 second, and then you have another 25 seconds after.
Got it.
And ultimately, if you don't pull them in during that time, or whatever you're doing, you're going to have a huge bounce rate. And that bounce rate is so serious because it can affect everything on the bottom line. Now, some people will say, well, I'm going to just do my offer right then and there. Well, would you rather sell someone through video, or would you rather sell them through a sales page? And if you can educate them in video, which is the most powerful way to do it outside of direct, one-on-one, then you have to actually sell through copy, which there's a lot of people that are disconnected through a long-form sales page or a website with so many different things that it confuses them what they need to do. And they totally go from there. When you have this perfect opportunity to take time to engage them and educate them through the process so that they're ready to pull out the credit card and make a purchase. Mm-hmm. So that's the big goal is, can you take them through the process of the video where you start out, hook them, in the first 20, 25 seconds, you really bring value so that they stay on a little bit longer. And then you actually have another window of about 45 seconds after that. And as you keep on going down the funnel a little bit, or the formula a little bit, you're able to see, okay, you're able to educate them and answer their common concerns. You're actually doing some case studies. You're actually doing some credibility pieces
Yeah.
And you're ready to call them to tell them what to do. And if you don't tell them what to do, they won't know what to do. They're like, what am I supposed to do with this video?
Okay, yeah. I love that, and I want to jump into that. I want to. One thing that you're saying that we're seeing happening right now too with our clients is we're having our clients make a lot of mobile video ads for Facebook, and they're running right to an ebook, but they're making them with the mobile, and that's the whole idea is to give them value up front to keep them long enough, right, to hear like a 1.5 minute pitch. So we're seeing success with this on a real simple level. Is there a difference in how long this should be based on what you do? Like, how long should the video be? Should it be 3 minutes or should it be 90 seconds?
Okay, so this is where I truly believe, and I disagree with a lot of the people that are so-called experts out there. Most people say you have to do it under 90 seconds, or you have to do it under a minute, or you have to do it at 45 seconds. I 100% disagree with all that rhetoric and talk. And the reason why is because people will watch what they're engaged in, and they will spend a lot of time. I mean, have you ever gone on a Netflix binge before?
Yeah.
Tell me how many hours you sit watching movies. Tell me.
I'm on 17 hours straight. It's actually on right now.
Yeah. Okay. So you're on a binge, and you're telling me that should have only been 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's a great point.
What keeps you watching more and more and more and more? And understanding that formula it is really, really important. There's it's a term that I didn't really hear until I worked with some comedian clients. They call it the gush. Right at the very end, if you can literally have them laughing, crying, or inspired right at the very, very, very end, then it's going to change the perception of everything that goes on before that. So let me give you an example of that. Okay. Yeah. So was there a movie that you really liked, but you hated the ending?
Birdman.
Okay. So you hated the ending. You're like, oh man, this is, why did they do this? Right.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on that? I mean, ultimately when you watched it, it wasn't that great of a movie because of the ending. Right.
Yeah.
And there are movies out there that were far worse. The plot, everything, but the ending left you with that gush when you're like, "Oh man, this is so amazing!"
It's almost like a Taylor Swift song,
Exactly.
Good,
And at the very end, you're like, "Man, that was an amazing thing," and you totally disregard all the bad things that went on.
Right.
It's that type of psychology, and so if you can get them engaged, you're doing your call to action, and you're pulling them in so they're laughing, they're entertained, they're inspired, they're going to take action, whether it's to click that share button, which is probably the most flattering thing that they could do outside of buy. But there's people that are buying it and selling it, and sharing it. And so that's kind of an important piece. And so if you're not going through that, if you're not going through that process, there's not much value. The bounce rate is going to be horrific, and the length of it really doesn't matter. What you need to do is look at, what's the tolerance for the viewer on the content that we're actually presenting, on the information that we're actually presenting. And so once you understand that length of what that may be, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes.
But you got to get content out there. Is that what you think? You got to get content out there to find out how long it should be?
Yeah, but you could do some preliminary testing beforehand and always edit down. Just a couple quick tips. A lot of people don't know this, but the Squatty Potty was actually a lot longer than what we actually had.
Right.
We actually sped up the audio. So the person that was presenting, it was all artificially sped up, and so it was a lot punchier, and it went through it. We sped it up, and it was able to pull under that 3 minute mark.
Wow!
But that's a quick tip. I do that on some of my YouTube videos too, if they're a little bit longer. But the faster that somebody speaks, and the more that they're engaged with the millennial audience, they actually are retaining a lot higher. And so average word, 40 words per minute.
Say that one more time. We cut out, and I'm not sure if the audience heard that. Say that one more time.
So I'm saying that there is psychology behind people speaking fast or faster or more direct. YouTube's done studies on it where, the more successful channels that are content-based like this, if they're speaking at 130, 140 words per minute, that it's actually more engaged. The retention's a lot higher. And that's true for ads too, for those types of, talking head selling point type videos. And so artificially speeding it up can help you get that retention as well. So
that's really interesting. Mel Gibson does that in his fight scenes. He removes pieces of the footage as if to clip them together and to make them punchier and to make them just snap a little bit more. So it's interesting to see how that would come into play here. With you mentioned, can I ask you about selling on a video versus selling on a landing page? I'm really interested in that. I'm really interested in the difference. We run a lot to a landing page. What does it mean to sell on video? What does it mean to sell on a landing page? Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So if your goal is just get people to the landing page, that's great. You're going to get people to the landing page, but your bounce rate is going to be really high on that landing page.
What's a high bounce rate? 80%?
It really depends on, what product or what audience. It varies.
I was trying to trip you up on that question. Yeah, it's a big one. So go ahead.
But no, serious. I mean, it varies per niche. It varies per whatever.
Yeah. But
the ultimate thing is, what if you could sell someone that they just see it and they're like, take my money and shut up?
Yeah.
Can you get them to do that?
Yeah.
And how many, like I bought a camera like a year ago because I watched this dumb video on Facebook about this camera that could do Facebook Live and it could go and zoom in and do these amazing features. And I gave them a lot of money and I didn't get it for a freaking year. But I'm like, shut up, take my money. I didn't need to read anything else. I'm like, buy. I was ready to go. And how many other people actually do that on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whatever?
Yeah.
Just off of a video. Now think about that for a second. I didn't need a landing page. I didn't need to hear anything. All I needed to do is I could buy it and it's coming to me. And so, just take me through the process where I'm able to see it. Another one that I'm waiting on is the Lily, that drone that you can throw in the water and then it'll fly.
Oh yeah.
I'm still waiting for it. But they sold me, they educated me. I'm like, man, I could use this. I could use it on video shoots. I don't need an operator. It would be great.
The Tesla car.
Exactly. And so I think the biggest thing is if you can take them through the process of the sales and really pitch them and educate them and take them to the point where they don't need to read anything on a landing page, then the conversions is going to go way up. Now, what if they need to, there's different types of people, and there's people that are ready to be impulse. There's others that need to skim through the material on the landing page just to make sure it's legit, right? Then there's others that need to do a doctoral thesis on the subject, right? And they need every little thing from there. And so, ultimately at the end of the day, you need to appeal to all, but a lot of that can be overcome a huge hurdle to get them to go and just those impulse buyers is the ones that we really want to focus in on, that will just go and purchase and then make sure the landing page corresponding that appeals to the other types of buyers.
So do you put a link in the ad, like a Facebook ad, or do you put a boost post? Are we talking about display ads? Like, give us a little bit of a background on the platform.
Yeah. So you got to realize that video content varies based off of platform, and Facebook versus YouTube for ads. We made a mistake, and it was one that I learned from just because you just don't know until you know, right?
Right.
One thing that we did is we waited 24 hours. We waited 24 hours to upload the video to Facebook, and we uploaded it earlier on YouTube because we wanted the traffic to go to YouTube and do a couple things from there that would help with the algorithm. But what we found was, number one, if you want something shared really quick socially, you need to do it on Facebook immediately. Number two, and this is what we did too, regardless of the algorithm, and it's still this way right now, if there's enough other signals, it really doesn't matter if it has a YouTube link in it for the full version. We say, oh, for the full version, see this. We had a huge traffic source going to YouTube, watching the video again, but it was the same video. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, it really depends on what you're doing. For conversions, definitely YouTube is an amazing platform for that. It's, as you target your list and so on, or remarket in any way. But Facebook's not too far behind too. I mean, they do have some limitations, but their audience data is a lot better than, for targeting, a lot better than Google at this time. So
I found, I'll tell you, the big thing on Facebook that makes a difference is the audience and who you're marketing to. I think most people watching this are probably in a place where they have lists that are probably under 5,000, and only 40% of that's gonna process onto Facebook. So they're going to be working in the cold market. Do you have any suggestions for developing an audience on Facebook from a cold market? Do you have advice for uploading a list? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there's different stages through funneling. You have a gathering point, okay, and this is more, it's more broad ads that would go to a broader niche or affinity, and then you kind of work yourself down.
Okay.
And the gathering point is a really, really important step. That's definitely going to be the more expensive part of your ad spend. But as you're able to gather the traffic coming in and understanding who's actually watching it and engaging with it, then you can create your different lists that have different campaigns or different ways to target them, down to their remarketing strategies and so on. And so if you have any data, that's great. But in the same sense, you got to look, like in this case, their data was 55 plus, but we knew that this other content would appeal to a younger demographic, which totally switched. And so there are lists available, there are communities available, there are, if you have any type of data yourself, you can upload them and look for similar audiences, which is
right.
Great. You can do that on both Facebook and Google, which is fantastic. But you still need to have that gathering stage. And then once that gathering stage comes in, and then that's when the remarketing kicks in.
Yeah.
And then you can get very specific, and your ad cost should come down on that. And that's where you can really hone in on the conversion.
Are you sending the same ad to you send an
absolutely.
Ad to
yeah. So absolutely. And some of it would be, some remarketing. If they go to ESPN or whatever, they're seeing a banner ad that, reminds them of the video.
Right.
That will just take them to the landing page.
Right. And that's going to be a lot of YouTube and the Google properties.
Yeah, but there's other ways to do it. I mean, not going into advanced strategies, but there's other ways to be involved, using Facebook data, and then it goes out to, display networks. So
what can you tell us about, when you would send someone to a landing page, when you would take a video ad and send them to a landing page with a video in it, or how does that work?
Yeah, so landing pages are very technical. You want the infinite scroll. You shouldn't have it where menu items take them off the page. That just encourages more bounce rate. But you want to be a minimalist on your content. So just one column, just going down, infinite scroll, and really honing in on the checkout process too.
Okay.
Going from there. With tests on multiple clients, it's just better not even to leave the page, and take it very quick, because the type of audience, they don't have a huge long tolerance of waiting. And so if you can do a one-click checkout or just make it very convenient for them, you'll have a higher conversion for sure. And so ultimately, you'll have above the fold and then kind of work your way down, and you'll just have your different problem solution type things. And then always by that problem solution, you have a button for them to buy. And so as they scroll down further, they still need problem solution, buy, because as as the different people need that type of reinsurance or to get further educated on it. That's all it is. The landing page is more complementary to the video to help with the sell and go through the different stages of the buyer. You know, if they don't need it, they can just buy it. Boom, it's right there at the top fold. You know, if they need to get more information, they can kind of scroll down. If they need more credibility pieces, they can scroll down, and by each one, you'll have another button for them to purchase.
Okay, all right. So I guess that's where I'm asking for the audience, and I want to ask you guys that are watching to put any questions you might have for Derral in the comment section, so we can jump in with those. We, sort of have some things that we wanted to cover, but
how much time do we have? Because I still have stuff to go over. I mean, I just want to make sure I'm respectful of you guys' time, and I want to make sure I cover a couple key things.
Yeah, we've got 25 watching, and I think we've got another 30 minutes left to go to get some questions in. So, I can let you take it from here.
Okay, so before we get into questions, and I'm very curious about your questions for sure, I want to kind of go through a couple key things. And I think everyone's heard, that content is king, right? You've always heard that. And it's true. You really need to understand that your content needs to be able to resonate with a target audience, and it needs to take it to a level that they can engage. And there have been some great content out there that has never been discovered because they don't understand the next principle, which is distribution. And distribution is the main factor in ads that everyone should consider, because I've seen some amazing video ads out there that have no views, that have no ad spend, and you need to look at the best way to distribute it. And so distribution is queen, and she really has the real power behind it. And so even though that you make some amazing content with your videos, which is fantastic, you need to have a distribution strategy of how it's actually going to look and a launch sequence to encourage what people would want to do. So one of the main reasons why we're launching, for a specific video at the Vid Summit is because it's our audience, it's our perfect audience. And if it's good, man, they're going to share it. If it's bad, man, that's going to be a bad thing for me. So, but you got to look at distribution strategies just as much as content, and you got to plan for it and figuring out what's the best way to reach as many people in the target audience or influencers that can influence their audience to watch and consume and buy. And so those are really, really big things. And then also you need to understand something that we talked about just loosely, which is the power pitch video formula. And if you've ever watched late night infomercials, this is the same formula that's been around forever. You really need to grab somebody's attention, and you talk about a problem and then a solution, and then you can throw in either a call to action there, or you can bring in some credibilities, and then you can kind of repeat it. Then you go capture their attention, problem, solution, credibility, call to action, another problem, solution, bring in some other credibility pieces, so on and so forth, and then call to action, and you over and over and over again. And so the length of it, I mean, I've seen infomercials that kept my attention for 30 minutes, and all they were doing the same thing, all the same thing. And Billy Mays Hayes and all those guys that he was a master at this, of can he grab the attention, how can his voice, how can it fluctuate, and and so, I mean, he was the master at this. It's no different today. It really isn't. It's no different today with video ads. It's the same formula. All you do is make sure that you grab their attention, you get to a point where they really feel like they have value in that 20-25 seconds. You're educating them through that process by entertaining them and inspiring, or whatever it may be, bringing credibility pieces in, and go over and over again. And so if you watch Squatty Potty, the ad there, you're able to see this formula quite prevalent. You can go on any video ad that it really converts really well. You're going to see that as well. And there's use this formula, but maybe their intention's not to have sales. Maybe it's just finding our name recognition. And there's
Right.
different things from there. So, but it's the same concept. You want to grab their attention and keep them engaged throughout the whole go. And there is still a call to action, regardless if it's a verbal call to action or you're doing the gush so that they're so inspired or they're laughing so hard that they have to hit that share button and share it with their friends. So
it's a multi-dimensional approach where you've got this power play formula. And, you know, you say, oh, it's been around forever. It's like, I wish I would have known that a year ago. Like I would have Googled it, you know, and I would have made some videos. But you're taking that dimension and then adding on the creative dimension as well.
Absolutely. And the whole thing about it is the funnel of this is really to attract an audience, have them retain on the video while being educated, right? And then monetize. But the huge thing is getting them to convert. And this is where I disagree with a lot of people. I think conversions is about more than just sales. Conversions is when they actually go and share it. And they say, oh my gosh, I just bought this. You have to see this ad. And they literally become your army of soldiers out there online sharing your word. And like, give you another example of that is VidAngel. You know, that's another Harmon Brothers production, of course, but it's a great service out there.
Yep.
You know, they're getting sued by every production company out there ever, you know, and they literally have an army of people sharing their content and engaging with their content. Their content's good. But yet, you know, they're really pushing it so that and they're enlisting people, and people are not only customers, but they feel like they're a part of the company as well.
I'll tell you what, you know, just as a testimonial, I think people that are watching this that are part of my tribe, like, know that I love VidAngel. I've talked about so much what they've done as a business and how they're doing for video, but I do feel like I'm a part of the company, and it's because of the way they're presenting themselves to me.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I think everyone should read Primal Branding. And it's by Patrick Hanlon and Hanlon. Amazing book. It's actually required reading for YouTube, Google employees. And it's all about creating tribes and creating a community around your business or yourself.
Right.
And it's really helping people feel like they have a voice, and you do have a voice, and they do listen to you, you know, and they care about what you say, and it means something. And so that's a pretty big deal. And if you can do that, that's where iconic brands are formed. It's like, I look at Apple. I mean, I'm salivating over just new MacBook Pro just because it's a rumor, you know. I'm like, I want it already. Yeah. I'm ready to buy it. It's just because I feel like I'm a part of that company, and I feel like I'm with them, even though that they're all secretive, you know. So.
Yeah. You know, I think that's really the challenge, is it not? Is how do we create that? Is how do we get that going with our audiences? Yeah,
and I think the biggest thing is it's all about trust factor, and I would just encourage everybody to read the book. It's just a dang good book. He has a follow-up book that's kind of a shorter one and modern. It's called Social Code. Great book, great read. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's engaging with your audience. So you're attracting your audience, you're engaging with them, and you get them personally vested, whether they're paying you money and they feel a part of it, or you're a part of their community because, you know, you're reaching out, whatever, and you're basically attracting new people for them to it because you're an advocate. So basically what you're doing is exactly what we did in the funnel here. They got you to be a customer, but now you're a convert. You're a little missionary for VidAngel. You're telling people all about this company and why they need to be a part of it. You're doing Facebook posts, you're doing tweets, you're doing Facebook Live, you know, all about that. And you're literally becoming their sales force for their product. And that can happen on any level, from a local business to a Fortune 100 brand. You can do this. It's realistic, and it starts with getting people aware of what you're doing. And that's where video.
That's where video ads come in. Is that what you said?
Yes.
And that's for the brand awareness, just to get it out there, to get views, to retain the viewers.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So how do we implement? You know?
So implementation is always interesting. You got to kind of experiment, but I would definitely go through some pre-production. You know, really think out, why are you making the ad? What's the purpose behind it? Who it's going to reach? What value you bring to them? What does success for that ad actually look like? Really pull through you know, the questions from there. What delivery mechanism? How are we going to distribute the content? And create plans for that. And then after you have that, then create your ad. Then figure out, okay, what do I need to do for this ad? What's my creative for the ad? Is it just a talking head? Okay, that's great. Really go through the process of that. And then once you have kind of an outline from there, I would literally take time and say, okay, how can I hook them? 20 seconds in, 25 seconds in, how can I re-engage them with the content? And about a minute in, how can I re-engage them again? And then your call to action. How can I do call to action? That I thought I was decent at until I started working with the Harmon brothers on different projects. They literally cut out in video ads all the time. We had an amazing scene. We had a huge influencer that was going to be an elf that was cranking the poop that was going along the conveyor belt, right? The ice cream. And it got cut. It got cut because this is something that both Daniel Harmon and Jeffrey Harmon are just adamant about. Probably more both, I guess. They're equally in different ways. But basically it's this. Is messaging is the most important thing, and sometimes you have to cut out even some of the best parts if it detracts from the messaging. And so that messaging is outright important. And I didn't necessarily, I mean, I agreed with it, but I'm like, you know, but in certain cases. But watching the two versions of the ad, I absolutely agree. I got disengaged from the message. And when you're disengaged from the message, that's where you have a higher tolerance for, or you don't have a higher tolerance that you might bounce off. And so I think that's really, really important. So when you're going through that process of creating the script and doing the things from there, you definitely want to think of, okay, how do I bring the value, but also keep on message and have that right call to action. And then at the very end, have that gush. The gush for Squatty Potty is when the kids got the ice cream cone and, you know, they pulled off toilet paper for them to wipe their mouth. You know, that's the big thing that you need to look at is, you know, what can we do with those components? Now, you might not be humorous, you might not be comedy, but you don't have to be. That's only one value proposition. You know, you can entertain someone without bringing comedic value to it. You can entertain them through the way that you speak, the way
charisma.
Yeah. So absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'm going to just share an experience that we had together. So Owen was trying to be something that he wasn't on video. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing, dude? Come on now. Come on.
I remember that. Yeah. And
I was this is never going to work for you, man. I'm like, show your test. I go, show your test. Keep your sunglasses on. Keep your T-shirt on, man. I mean, just be who you are, because ultimately at the end of the day, if you try to be something that's not who you are or what the message really isn't, then it really pulls away. And I don't know if you noticed this, but once you're a lot more comfortable on camera, you engage people completely different. You actually you engage them naturally instead of this thing that you thought that you needed to do, you know, and that's when you've seen a shift in your business, is because the authenticity, and that authenticity is a very important thing. So those ads, that's basically what I do. That's a long explanation, but that's what I would do in creating those ads for sure.
So we've got a couple questions from the audience. Well, here's what I want to know. I want to know, I know you got a pretty bomb slide deck there. So I want to know if you got any slides over there that we haven't seen that might be kind of cool to look at.
I haven't even pulled out my slide decks. I just added a few to this call is
Well,
off.
that's what I mean. I was just curious if you had anything cool for us to look at, because I really like to see the power video formula. I took a quick snapshot of it. I hadn't seen that before, and like written out. Maybe I have in your presentation, but didn't really focus in on it. So I love seeing stuff like that.
No, I mean, I definitely have a few of those. I'll just, I mean, yeah, I'd be all over the place if I threw stuff in there.
Don't even worry about it.
But
Yeah,
I do believe in this one. This is a good slide. This is an easy one. You got to realize that your target audience is from different cultures, different people, different countries, different walks of life, different experiences, and each one of them are a specific audience, and you got to look at them at a specific way. And so how you target someone locally is different how you target someone internationally. And so what's the international appeal? And one of the things that we've seen with success is if you can find things that people will resonate, i.e. Scott Sterling with soccer, you know, that resonated with the world because that's the #1 sport in the world. That's something that people can share. And if it's relatable, they can share it.
That's cool.
So, I mean, that's what you got to look at is, you know, who you're trying to reach. If it's an international appeal, look at an international things that will appeal to an international market. You know, you might be in, you know, Podunk, Utah, small town. You know, you'd present something a little bit different than that than in downtown New York City, right? And so, you know, you got to look at your audience of who you're actually targeting and make content from there. So,
and what are some of the tips or the techniques for doing that, for honing in on an audience? What should we be looking for? Are we looking at demographic, income data? Are we looking at interest? Like any guidance there?
Yeah. So, knowing what the general population, it depends. Are you going to be hyper focused in a specific, you know, vertical, or is it a general audience? Because it's like,
let's say that, like a small business owner, maybe digital products. It's an IM product, similar to myself, but a lot of the internet community, consultants. I'm a love coach. I'm a this coach. Like, what are some things we need to look at to really develop our audience better?
So define where you want your audience to be. So let me just give you an example of this. Okay. One of the most difficult clients you can ever have is anyone that's doing securities. Anyone that's doing insurance. There's multiple regulations of what they can and can't do. And the whole thing about it, yes, their audience is everyone. And so how do you appeal to everyone, but yet you're limited on what you can actually say to them? Because if you watch, you know, something on securities, you're like, oh man, this is like the most boring thing ever. And they have to be boring because that's, you know, that's the way it is. So like 6 years ago, I was asked by a client who was insurance and securities to do a strategy for them to develop their audience. And I brought them an idea that they actually liked and something that could engage. And so football is everything in this town. I'm telling you, man, like when you go to the local football game, everybody's there and their kids and their kids' kids. You know, it just goes down and it's just, we can't even fit everybody in there, you know, it's just crazy. And so let's go ahead when they go on away games that you actually buy the equipment, you get the internet connection and you live stream. This is 6 years ago, live stream the football game and let everyone stream it. This is brought to you by, you know, Valley Insurance, whatever. And here that was to engage. People were very gracious to them. They said, man, I just need to thank them. They would have people go into their office and thank them personally for live streaming the game because they wouldn't have had it otherwise. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't travel with the team or whatever. They brought value. And while they're in there, man, hey, I might as well switch my insurance over to you guys, you know, or I might do this security thing. And they were able to really catapult their business by appealing to the mass appeal. And so long story short, it's basically looking at opportunities of knowing who you want. If you want a mass appeal, look at a mass approach. And always, you might need to think outside the box a little bit, you know?
Sure.
And now with Facebook Live, where anyone can live stream, I mean, there's multiple things that you can do with that as well, you know, and there's certain things that you can do. But in looking who you're going after, you can come up with a pretty dang good idea, but you won't know any data until you really do that gathering stage. So you have to you got to be in that gathering stage, and you can kind of see similarities of what's going on, and then you can narrow it down. And the ones that really do well is when they say, okay, we already know who we're going after. And they already have data on who they're going after, right? And they buy lists. They literally say, okay, I want everybody in this category. And you can buy so many different lists out there. It's ridiculous what you can buy.
I'm seeing a lot more of this. I used to see this a lot, like maybe 8-10 years ago, list buying, Hoovers, and whatnot. We used to do it. Multi-level marketing used to do it on the radio as well. But I'm seeing this again. What kind of lists are available?
It's never gone away. It's just people forget about it, and think about this for a second. I had a friend, and she started getting direct mail, and she goes, man, this is really freaky because I haven't told anyone that I was pregnant, but yet I'm getting it for pregnant, and that's her first child. And it goes all off of behavior of how people are online. And those lists are available, and those lists are available for everything. And if you can think about, if you can hone in who your demographic is, you can buy the list for a few $1,000s, right? And then go into Facebook and do a similar audience, and then Facebook will do all the heavy lifting for you. Find all the rest of the people that are similar to that. And here's a one tactic that we did very successfully. If you have anyone that goes to a conference where they put up booths, and the attendees, literally call them and ask them if they'll sell their list of the people that actually are going to the event. And 9 times out of 10, they are. Okay. And so picture this. Can you imagine this? That before you go to a specific event, you know exactly where you're going to go. And what we did is we set up a remarketing campaign based off of that list that was targeting. We had a video ad and everything that was just specifically for the people that were coming to that event. And they sold out in that first 5 hours because they sold out of everything, just because we targeted them before they actually came to the event. And then afterwards, we had follow-up sequences that were automated. We ran them through Infusionsoft, but it was just like literally, going through. I
get it. You're talking about like this video goes to a group who's already seen this video. And then this group, they've already seen these 3 videos, so where they are. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can do it too, where before they come to the conference, hey, come see us, and you can enter in to win this. And that's click here to guarantee your registration, and we'll enter you in 10 times, and you'll get this prize before anyone gets there. So we're picking a winner before you come.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Which you're actually pixeling them. Number one, you got their email. You're pixeling them. And then, you can remarket them in several different ways. And as they put in more information, then we start squeezing that information back into a CRM, like Infusionsoft or whatever, to, take them through a specific sales cycle.
Yeah, but this is something that you can do if you're a real estate agent, if you're a financial services rep. This is not like, I have to be a vendor at this event, right? You're talking about, that FinCon is going to be in San Diego. So you call FinCon. You say, are you willing to sell the list? They say maybe, and they work out a deal with you. You take the list, and you're just an average guy. You upload it to Facebook, YouTube, however you want to go, and you take that strategy from there. That's essentially what you're talking about, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
that's incredible.
Well, thank you. And I'm bringing value, hopefully, to the people that are watching this.
that I think is I remember talking about something like that maybe a year ago. It might have been at Vid Summit. I remember having a conversation with you in the room, something like that, and thinking that puts the power of the event coordinators in the hands of the attendees, if you're shrewd enough, to pull that off.
Yeah, and there's other ways to pull things together too. But I think the biggest thing is really looking outside of your current sphere of influence and figuring out who has those lists or audience that would appeal to whatever you're doing. And find ways to either partner with them or to collaborate or to buy their list. So, and then there's other. You heard about my other strategies of sharing pixel data. There's ways to do that. there's endless opportunities for people that actually take the time, but you have to have that video content. You have to have something that can appeal to an audience, and you can kind of hone and refine and go through it. So,
it reminds me a lot of the presentation it being about Piper something or other.
Yeah.
What was that creator's name?
Piper Bellows.
That's just for my own edification, because I wanted to go back and review some of that. But you're talking about when you say, creating a feel in your videos in a community. You're a brand. You're treating yourself as a brand. You're creating a home where your customers, your fans, your tribe feels comfortable and will engage. And that's just a part of that funnel where you're attracting, retaining, and monetizing.
Absolutely.
Derral, that's fantastic.
And then converting. You got to convert.
I appreciate you coming on today. And we got a couple questions. Is it okay if we jump to some questions?
Let's do it, man.
Cool. So first question I have is from Tech Mansour, who's asking some great questions. He's asking about your, he says, is there a particular type of video ad that converts and essentially attracts high-end customers or clients? So he's asking, he mentions Frank Kern here. Frank Kern says you don't need 1,000 low-end customers, just 10 high-paying customers. So I think what Tech is asking is there a different approach for video if you're trying to attract the elite of a marketplace?
So it doesn't matter if they're elite or they're, someone that's just scraping to get by. The same way to pitch them is the same. How you appeal to them is completely different. How you talk to a certain audience is very important, and how you engage that audience and how you bring that audience value is different. So that's where you do a lot more preparation for it. And I think for me and this is just stuff that we had, and it really depends on the type of product that you're actually doing, but I would literally lock them into a 20-minute video ad.
Wow.
You want to know why?
Because they'll do it. They'll stick around if they're qualified, right?
Absolutely. If you can keep them engaged for 20 minutes and talk what they need to know, and you're giving them value for 20 minutes, then they're sold, know. And we've done some work with some clients that had high-end coaching. We're talking like $40,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? Not for your average, coaching from there. And we had longer form format. And once you can get them so they know that, they have value, they know that you're speaking their language, you're talking about the problem, then you're helping them get the solution right there in the video for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then when they get that landing page, it's generally going to set up a time to talk to you and not just check out, because tell me someone that's going to spend $20,000 without talking to somebody. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a really, really important thing to take into consideration. And there might be a few that do it, but you don't want anybody to purchase. If it's just a high end and minimal amount of people, you want to screen it. You want to get the right people in there.
Absolutely. Phil, and like you said, we've experienced this too, is that when you build value in that video, you're filtering people out. They're falling off because, in the end, I'm not really going to buy this thing. But that guy who really does need a monkey wheel for his Mercedes-Benz is like, this is what I've been looking for.
Absolutely.
And that's that one client. So Roberto Blake's out there. I want to say, hey, Roberto, 120,000 subscribers. Check him out. We got another question from VIP Art Events. What would you suggest to generate patients for a local dentist? Focus of the ad, landing page, funnel. What are your thoughts there?
Very simple, believe it or not. And a lot of people don't think this way, but I go and buy the new people that moved into the area for the last, 45 days, 90 days. You can buy those lists. I would take it and put it into an ad. Each one of them needs some type of medical provider. If they're moving into a new area, they generally will only go within a, like a 20-mile radius to do it. And it's even, if it's more metropolitan, it's even, smaller for their medical provider. And you can actually create an ad that will resonate to them of a dentist. And what you need to do is do testimonials of people that actually gone to the dentist and talk about everything. Let them talk about everything that people are nervous. Hey, I moved to this area and I didn't know where to turn for a dentist, but I found Dr. Smith, and he was the most amazing patient, loving doctor. We went there. My kids love him, blah, 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 blah. And it goes on. And tell me that doesn't resonate, even though that it may not know anybody in town, that you just basically identified a problem that they were facing before they even needed a dentist. They knew that they needed a dentist, right?
Right.
Not just because they have, a hurt tooth. There are people that will want checkups, and so you need to be able to get that list. And so all you're doing is targeting them. And you can be very specific. I joke quite well because I have a friend of mine who I harass online.
Yeah.
And I do these ads, these weird ads, and he's the only one that sees them in the world, and whoever's reviewing the ad. You can get very specific of the language because these are the people that just moved into the new area, right? And what if it was the funnel was this? And I want you to think outside the box a little bit, but what if the funnel was to take them to a page to get a community resource so they know what doctor, dentist, lawyer, or whatever? You just got new leads that can go to a new client.
Yeah. That's huge.
So.
I think that's beautiful. I had a feeling you were going to go in that direction. I've talked to realtors about that, as well as the best churches, the best dentists, the best insurance providers for new people. And speaking the language of a new person. It reminds me of when I've moved and I've been arrested multiple times. I have to keep moving and hiding. But I've moved
you
a lot.
Tattoo every time you get arrested.
Exactly. I get that. It's a module tattoo. But they send you get a package from the post office, and it's like boxes from Home Depot, and you get related industries, and so you take advantage of those. That's really great. Here's a non-ads question from Ray Akers. Ray, who I love, great content. Follow him on Twitter. Because not ads related, but Derral, what would you say is the most important? What is most important for YouTube to get I'm just going to read it. What would Derral say is the most important for YouTube SEO viewer retention or backlinks?
Where do you want that traffic to come from? That's the question. Do you want it to come from Google or you want it to come from YouTube? So, there's multiple ways to answer that question. Do I want to just get both?
Yeah, let's go with Google first. I think that's probably what Ray's asking about.
Okay, yeah. So Google, to go from Google, it's all about embeds and backlinks, and having it in volume. Social signals is a big thing as well.
Yep.
And
likes, comments,
and ultimately that's kind of one of the metrics that they gauge by. For YouTube, though, you can get it by having some of the embeds and the social engagement, but anyone that has a higher channel authority and has validity with YouTube, and that's created by watch time, and watch time is broken into several different things. But as you have that, people can knock you completely out of number one if they just posted a video with that. But keep in mind, it's all about the title, the first paragraph of the description, and your tags. And be very mindful on what tags you use, which will help enhance, and go from there. But I've literally ranked videos number one on Google, number one on YouTube by just uploading a video. No embeds, no nothing. And it wasn't no workaround hack where you're doing
Black hat stuff,
Wirecast upload or whatever. It was literally legitimate authority building, releasing video, and it was just
stuff like ahead of time, already prepared to receive that video.
I'm sorry.
Feed or something like that. You have an RSS feed or something like that. Any tips on how you were able to do that?
Oh, it just comes off of your channel authority.
Great. Oh, cool.
Yeah, the more authority you have with YouTube, the more authority you have with Google. And so they're like my releases, they'll be in Google News,
That's interesting.
Immediately. And it's just basically off the authority, you know what I'm saying? And so, getting stuff to rank is not difficult if you create that authority that YouTube and Google's actually looking at. But yes, definitely on Google, it's backlinking and embeds and, you know, optimization of title and tags and description.
That's great. That's great. Last question from Roberto Blake. What is the best way? Oh, wait, I think he just asked it. What is the best way to use SEO to show up for related videos? Related videos.
So that's a great question. So one of the metrics that you need to look for in YouTube is to create traffic from related videos and suggested search. If you can get where 75% of all your traffic's coming from that, you're like in the Goldilocks zone for catapulting your channel. And so what do you actually do to get it to relate? So if you want your personal videos to relate, the best way to do that is to put them a part of a series playlist, and they'll be more recommended from there. And then I would also do other playlists that are embedded in different areas, you know, and YouTube actually goes and creates their own playlists, and they create their own channels. And if you can get them to be a part of those groups, which I know, Roberto, your videos are, just because you're a part of the Google Preferred program, and not everybody is. And so, you know, you're able to go there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's basically comes down to this. The algorithm says your video content is relevant for this viewer, and they're going to push you as long as you can get that watch time up and your audience retention into the Goldilocks zone. And each one has different percentages and so on and so forth, but ultimately it's getting it there and going. And so, like, I have a channel that I'm working on really, really hard right now, and I'm right in the Goldilocks zone. And I haven't pushed anything outside of, we did some video ads to get started on it. But right now we're pulling in 2,000 views a minute. I'm sorry, an hour. And it's all through, we're right now 85% suggested and related. And the only thing that we're doing is putting relevant content up in a specific vertical that would appeal to it. And then we would look for trending topics that we would actually use in those videos that would be relatable. So if there's some titling that's close and some tags that are close, then you have a higher probability if you're doing all the other things right.
That's great. Now, how do we get ourselves into those playlists? Anything? So as we wrap up, is there anything we can do to get into those playlists, those YouTube created playlists?
No, they're automated. It's part of their little bots that actually go on there. So, I mean, you can encourage people to be, if you go in your analytics, you'll be able to see how many playlists you're in.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can see where those playlists are at. You can encourage people to put the video in the playlist, right? And they're automatically put in a playlist if people engage with your content. So, like a video, they're actually putting it in their playlist.
You know, I think the key there is that you can't do anything to hack it or to get into. That's just good to know. So it gets us to stop wondering, and we can focus on where we can really affect.
It's all about creating great content at the end of the day. I mean, you can be in as many places as you want, but if the video is a piece of crap, it's never going to be in related search. The reason why is because YouTube's looking at the other algorithm. Oh, people come on, but in 20 seconds they drop off. Your average, audience retention is well below average. So why would we want to promote this video? Because if we're promoting this video, that has a higher tendency that people might leave YouTube. And if that video, this is one thing important for Roberto, but Roberto, if you have every video that has a call to action off of YouTube, you might be breaking session watch time, which is a big issue. I would be very strategic of when you send traffic off of YouTube, because you are say, hey, that video is great, but everybody left your platform. YouTube doesn't like that. They want you to stay on and go on the binge. So
that's right. That's right. Well, Derral, thank you so much for joining us today. I know we went a little bit over, guys, but I appreciate you staying, for the whole presentation. We really had great retention, and Derral, you really brought the thunder on this. So thank you for coming with your A game.
Hey, no problem. Did we want to talk about the Vid Summit, or where are we at on that?
Yeah, why don't we wind down with that? Because we mentioned it a few times. Vid Summit is the premier video marketing event out there. It is for professionals, and I'll let you kind of talk a little bit about it because I would love to see you guys there.
Yeah, for sure. So, and are you going to put the link in the wherever?
Yeah, let me just paste it. I'll hit send right now.
Okay, so you guys will have access to that, but ultimately, the Vid Summit is an idea that I had. Oh, sorry. I was trying to get it up here. But it was basically an idea that I had a while back, a couple years ago. And it was dealing with, the type of content that I wanted to get. I go to conferences all the time, and what I'm shocked by more than anything is the lack of information. You might get, you're really excited about it. There's a lot of energy there. But ultimately at the end of the day, it's about getting information and case studies and have applicable information, that would work for you. And so I go to these conferences, and you go listen to a panel of 7 people that are just fighting for time,
right,
and giving all variety of answers. And there's nothing tactical that you could walk away with, or something. There's nothing that you can really implement right then and there. So when I created the Vid Summit, I had the goal to bring the world's best together, and only let them present on case studies that are applicable now, not something that's like 10 years old or 5 years old, things that are applicable now that people can actually apply and take action. And the first year was completely amazing. It was focused more on video marketing. The next year we brought in content creators on YouTube. We had people in the audience, Owen, that had 7 million subscribers. I don't know if you knew that, but I mean, they have huge audiences, and
they're huge. I remember that.
Yeah, it's just huge in the people that were consuming the information because it's so valuable. Well, this year with the Vid Summit, it's taking it up even a notch further. You can get there at vidsummit.com/Owen. You can see there, but it's happening in LA, October 19th through the 22nd. And we literally have some amazing presenters coming. I want to kind of go showcase a couple of these guys. Daniel Harmon is one of the most amazing creators that I've ever come across. He's part of the Harmon brothers. He's actually the creative director. And he's talking about literally taking any type of content from creation, from concept to conversion. And he's going to take quite a bit of time to do that. Have our friend Peter Holland's coming, who's an amazing entrepreneur, singer-songwriter, creator on YouTube. And Rory Haynes, who's the former CEO of New Media Rockstars. We also have Daniel Markham, who is just, his channel's exploded. He cuts open things on YouTube and sees what's inside.
Oh, yeah.
And he, in 12 months, he got 2.8 million subscribers. I think he's at 3.4 now. And then we have a good friend of mine, Sean Duras. He's coming, and he recently hit 500,000 subscribers in less than a year. And where he's at, he's all about transitioning off of one platform and developing an audience on another. And then we have Austin Craig that's talking about crowdfunding, Tim Schmoyer, Amy. We have the whole list. We have Jared Meekum. We have Lassie, who, if anyone in Video Marketing International knows,
I love Lassie. He's great.
And we got Tommy Powers, Jeremy Vest. We have Malia's coming, Malia Johnson, who's an amazing affiliate marketer. We got Travis Chamber, myself. I'm really happy that Matt Gillian. Matt's been in the audience both years, kind of in and out just because of work.
Yeah.
And he's coming, and if there's one person that I would trust as an authority to YouTube, it would be him. He is brilliant, and
Yeah, I saw him at VidCon. Insane.
When we get together, we geek out like no other. But we even have David Walsh, Ryan, and we have Owen. You're even coming to present. Amazing.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
And we got Jeremy. We got a few more that we're just getting ready to announce. It's going to be really, really big. But you can get there, vidsummit.com/Owen. This is the conference that you guys, if you want to take it to the next level, if you don't know what level you're at, if you want to figure things out, that's definitely the place that you should come, because this is for creators. This is for video marketers. This is for brands. It's not a fanfare type thing. And the cool thing about this event, and I know that, Owen, you can testify to this, but people that are presenting are so cool that they'll take time in their presentation to answer your question.
Yeah. I have been to VidCon. I have been to CVX. I have been to the social media marketing world. I've been to these other events, and I love them. I've been to Traffic and Conversion. I don't have anything negative to say about those events, but the biggest results that I saw in my business personally was after VidSummit 1 and VidSummit 2. They were just absolutely what I needed to hear when I needed to hear it. And now your lineup is so much bigger that I'm including. I mean, Matt Galen from what's the channel? He does. I saw him at VidCon.
Yeah, Frederator, but he's now an independent consultant.
Yeah, he's doing his own thing now, and it's kind of like when you just understand what is possible with video, your brain starts going into a different direction, and you start going, "Wow, I could really make some money with this."
Well, the case studies is what it's all about, right? And the whole thing about it is, each time we literally will show you behind the curtain exactly what's going on and where it's at. We were talking about things of where the industry's going, and the industry went there. It's here. We were talking about live video long before live video was even hot, and talking about the opportunities. We even mentioned that YouTube was going to actually have a live feature. That was in VidSummit 1. That was because leaked information from my friend at Facebook let us know that was being developed, right? And the whole thing about it is, we're trying to figure out the platform, but there are industry experts that they're consumed with it, and they are light years ahead of everybody else, and so they're able to give information that it's completely applicable, and you literally have things that you can take action right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great event. So I want to encourage you guys to check that out. I just saw Jarhead came on board. Jarhead, it was good to see you. You might be off now, but I hope to see you guys at VidSummit, and I hope to even, see you there on the VIP track, because that's where I'm going to be. The behind the scenes access that you get to people like Tommy Powers. If you don't know who Tommy Powers is, go to dinner with Tommy Powers.
Tommy is like, he's a beast. He is.
That's a great word.
He is amazing, and he's freaking good at what he's good at. So
yeah, he is, and he's got a great way of engaging. These people are real. They're behind the scenes. Travis Chambers. You know how much I love Tim Schmoyer, and every time I see Tim, I learn something new. Tim was the first YouTuber I ever started watching. Amy Schmidauer was the second.
What?
And
not me.
No, it was through them that I came onto you.
Oh, okay.
I met you and Amy right around the same time for that summit, and she spoke. She was like day 4, and I had to find somebody, more people, and I found you, and we wrapped up the event. It's so cool to meet these people that you look up to, and then you go to an event and they're there and they're real, and then they become mentors to you. And Derral, you have been a mentor to me, and not in the sense that I've watched your videos and learned a lot, but really
you said I don't teach you anything.
Yeah. It's funny though. I sit down and we've broken bread together,
Yes,
and Derral's had real conversation. Hey, can I tell you something that I feel? I remember, where was I with you? And you said something like, well, you're just going to do what you want to do anyway, but here's my opinion. And I go, I'm like, who is this guy talking to me that way? You know, and it's like you get to this point where people that were once the ones you were watching, you're now a part of that community. Why? Because you go to the events, you stay focused on the work, and you get the work done. So I love Vid Summit for that reason. We get to roll up our sleeves. We get to learn. We get to enjoy things together. And for me, it's kind of like the time of the year where I can go like, couple days off, hang out with my peeps, my video marketing peeps.
But it's like a fire hose in your mouth.
But then when you leave, you're like, you know, got to go. So I got to get moving.
One cool thing that's happening this year that I'm really excited about is we have industry professionals that are doing big announcements at Vid Summit. It's becoming the go-to conference for video marketing. Even though it's the biggest, it's going to be the go-to where, you know, these platforms and companies that give us tools and the ability to do our jobs. There's some pretty big announcements about. So
that's exciting. Well, I hope you guys can make it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that. I hope to see you back. We're releasing a brand new series. We have 24 videos coming up on Facebook video ads, and Facebook Live. The first video is coming out next week. So I hope that you guys will subscribe and watch that. Subscribe to Derral. Stay in touch with what he's doing there. And as always, this is Owen Video signing off. We'll see you next time.